Hey guys, and welcome to Should You Buy It, where all we do is talk a little bit about the game and whether or not we think it's worth the cost.
In this episode, we'll be playing Faster Than Light, or better known as FTL, the space roguelike game where you will have to manage a crew of spacefaring creatures in order to reach freedom.
So the first question we always cover in these videos is what stage of development is the game in? And in this case, FTL is currently in full release and available on PC as well as iOS for $10.
So what exactly is FTL? Well, FTL is a space travel roguelike game where you will be presented with choices and several random events that can drastically change the course of your run. FTL runs can take anywhere from a couple of minutes if you're extremely unlucky, but in most cases seem to range from 10 minutes to almost a full hour. This means that you probably won't be booting up this game for a quick run and should aim to have at least an hour or more of your time free. The good news is that if you don't have that much time, you can always save and come back to your run at a later date.
Now before we start each run, we need to talk about the progression and ship selection. You see, in FTL, you'll be given the choice between several unlockable ships before each playthrough that each have different strengths and weaknesses. Just to give you an example here, the first ship you start to fly is going to look pretty standard since it's made by humans, whereas the second ship you unlock is ran by a species called the oomiee. These guys are faster at repairing than humans, but lack the skill they need to have in hand-to-hand combat.
As far as progression goes, the only real progression outside of each run you're going to see is the unlocking of new ships through either completing a special quest or defeating the final boss with the previous one. Each ship has a large variety of different starting weapons, ship layouts, and crew. This means that each ship is balanced around the idea of you using it in a simple way. The human ship, for example, focuses largely on using weapons and rockets to get through your opponent's health bars, whereas the oomiee ship uses EMP-style weapons to turn certain systems off temporarily. Of course, you can always unlock more things throughout each run, which may drastically change the strategy that you use.
In each run of FTL, you will be faced with random encounters as you explore through each system. In one jump, you might go to a store and buy new goods, while in the next you're attacked by pirates. This can vary quite a bit, but they all basically boil down to combat, random bonus of some kind, a shop, or just nothing at all. This of course will start to vary much more as you play through the game and you start to have asteroid field encounters as well as nimbus storms, which will take down a large portion of your power. The goal here is for them to have enough variety in the game that you feel like each playthrough is fresh, while also having it be similar enough so that you can learn how to deal with each and every situation you come across.
As you progress through the galaxy over and over again, you'll be able to upgrade your ship. Do keep in mind though that none of these ship upgrades are permanent. You can find new weapons such as lasers, rockets, teleporting EMPs, combat drones, defense drones, anti-personnel drones, and much more. Then on top of all of that, you'll be able to upgrade your ship as you collect scrap to increase its capabilities. Maybe you want to go for a heavy shield build where you have the most powerful shields, or maybe you want to go with a more offensive approach where you focus entirely on weapons. There are tons of systems to upgrade on your ship which will give you a variety of benefits, and even if you somehow decided your ship is upgraded enough, you can always spend your money at the shop for more crew members or entirely new systems that can be added to your ship.
Now the combat is a bit weird. At first you may look at the screen before you complete the tutorial and ask yourself, what in the world am I looking at? When in reality it's actually quite simple. You need to manage your total power and what systems you put them into, as well as what part of the enemy ship you wish your weapons to attack. Along the way you will take fire, which will require you to use your crew members to repair different systems. This was all really well explained in the game's tutorial, so it was very easy to learn. The best part, however, is that the more you play, the more you will find little tricks that allow you to optimize your combat, like timing the attacks of certain weapons to get the best possible effect you can. In the end, I have to say that the combat was surprisingly really good, as it was easy to learn but extremely hard to master.
So now it's time for the pros and cons section for the video. First up for the pros is that the game has enough difficulty to make it fun, but at the same time, it's not hard enough to make you just want to quit. They also had 3 different difficulties, so if you were struggling on normal, for example, you can always bump it down to easy, which will still present you with enough challenge to make you feel like you still have to try. Next up was that the combat was simple, yet incredibly in-depth at the same time. There are tons of different strategies you can use based on your ship and the tools at your disposal. After that is that the ship upgrades and weapons that you get each run drastically change how you play the game, and therefore force you to adapt to the build that you have been given. This is great as there is a large variety of weapons and upgrades within the game, and each one functions differently. Another pro is that FTL gives the player a sense of meaningful progression through unlocking additional ships and ship layouts. It always feels really good when you unlock a new ship or layout, as it feels like you actually accomplished something. And finally for the pros is the fact that FTL is simple to learn yet hard to master. This creates a sense of replayability within the game, as each time you play, it feels like you learned something new that you could use in your future runs.
Now for the cons. First up for the cons is that this game seems to have a bit too much RNG. Personally, I do think RNG is a necessary evil in most roguelikes, but in this one it definitely feels a bit too intense at times. You could have a great run going for an example, and then just run into a super ship that kills you and ends the run. There's a lot of this sort of thing where if you don't get enough of the weapon types you need for the build you're going, it could also cripple you very early on and end your run.
So when we rate games, we want to get 1 hour of enjoyment out of every $1 that we spend on the game. So for this game in particular, in FTL, we would want to get at least 10 hours of enjoyment out of the $10 that we spent. And after putting 24 played hours into this game, we give it 9 out of 10 potatoes.
FTL is an absolutely amazing game. The only thing that we could come up with that actually hinders it is the fact that the RNG can completely cripple your run. This doesn't happen too often, but it is always a bummer when it does. The good news is everything else you would want from this game is in there and it functions well. We never encountered a single bug and enjoyed the game throughout our entire review process. I think FTL is one of, if not the best roguelike game we have played in a long time, and therefore is without a doubt worth the cost.
Before you guys go, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe, as we recently noticed that over 98% of our viewers are not subscribed to our channel. We put out multiple new videos every single week, and your support is what makes this all possible. If you would like to support us even further and get some cool benefits, check out our membership program, which can be found in the join button below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.